What if I told you that in Parasite, the most important character isn't a person, it's the buildings? Bong Joon-ho, the director, has said in interviews that he spent enormous amounts of time designing every single space in the film, not just for aesthetics, but because he wanted the architecture itself to tell the story. Where you live, how you move through space, whether you go up or down, in Parasite, all of that means something. And when you understand what it means, you start to see something really interesting about Korean society, about how physical space in Korea reflects social space, about who gets to be seen and who gets buried. That's what I want to explore today. So let's start at the bottom. The Kim family lives in a bunjiha. It's a semi-basement apartment. The windows are tiny, positioned right at street level, so all you can see from inside is the feet of people walking by, strangers' ankles. That's it. The bottom of the world. Now this isn't a fictional place Bong made up for dramatic effect. Bunjiha apartments are real. They exist all over Seoul, and hundreds of thousands of people live in them. They became common during a period of rapid urban migration in Korea, when people flooded into Seoul for work and there simply wasn't enough housing. So landlords started converting basements, and those basements became home to the city's most economically vulnerable residents. So right from the opening shot of the film, Bong is making a statement. The Kims don't just have less money than the Parks, they literally live beneath society. Below street level, half underground, they are in the most physically sense possible, invisible to the world above them. And notice what happens whenever the Kims need to go somewhere in the film. They always go up the hill to the Park's neighborhood, up the stairs into the house. Even within the Park home, the family keeps climbing. The direction of movement for the poor in the film is always upward, because up means belonging, up means visibility, up means worth. Now let's talk about the other end of the spectrum, the Park family home. Bong actually built this house from scratch on a studio lot. He worked with a production designer to create something that felt aspirational, but also, if you pay close attention, slightly cold. The house is made full of glass walls, open spaces, and natural light flooding in from every direction. It looks like freedom. But here's the thing about all that glass. It's not actually welcoming, it's surveillance. Mr. Park can see everything happening in his garden from inside his living room. The housekeeper can watch the front gate from the kitchen. The house is designed so that the people who own it can always see what's happening, while the people who work in it are always being watched. There's also the garden. It's manicured, perfectly designed, completely controlled. In Korean culture, the idea of chemyeon, or social face, is really important. How things appear matters enormously. The Park's home is the physical embodiment of chemyeon. Everything looks flawless on the surface. The chaos, the mess, the darkness, that's all hidden. And where is it hidden? Underground. Which brings us to the most important space in the entire film. Beneath the Park's beautiful home, there's a secret basement. And this is where the film goes from being a clever class satire to something much deeper. Without giving away too much for everyone who hasn't seen it, the basement contains someone who has been living there, hidden for years. The Parks don't even know he exists. He's been surviving underground, completely invisible to the wealthy family living their bright glass-walled life directly above them. Think about what Bong is saying here. Beneath the polished surface of Korean prosperity, beneath the glass house, beneath the success story, there are people who have fallen so far through the cracks that they've disappeared entirely. Not just economically marginalized, literally erased. Living in the dark underneath people who have no idea that they exist. This maps very directly onto something very real in Korean society. South Korea's economic rise, the so-called miracle on the Han River, is genuinely remarkable. In just a few decades, Korea went from extreme poverty to being one of the world's leading economies. But that miracle created extreme inequality, and there's a term young Koreans use to describe the feeling of being left behind by that system. Hell Joseon. It's a bitterly sarcastic phrase. Joseon was the old Korean dynasty, and young people use it to say that modern Korea feels like a feudal trap. Work as hard as you want, your position is already decided. The basement in Parasite is how Joseon made physical. One thing that's really worth noticing when you watch Parasite is how obsessed the film is with going up and down. The Kims go up to reach the parks. The secret basement dweller goes further down than anyone. When the climax of the film happens, it's triggered by rain, and the camera follows water as it cascades downward, all the way from the park's pristine garden, down through the streets, down the hill, and straight into the Kim family's bunjiha, flooding it with sewage. Water in this film flows exactly the way wealth does in Korean society, downhill. It accumulates at the top, and what spills over crashes down on the people at the bottom. The architecture doesn't just reflect class, it performs it in every shot. Parasite is a film that you can enjoy as a thriller, dark comedy, or family drama, but when you pay attention to the spaces, the bunjiha, the glass house, the secret basement, you realize that Bong Joon-ho built an entire social argument out of architecture. Where you live isn't just a backdrop in this film, it's your identity, your destiny, and your prison. And that says something really pointed about Korean society, about a country that built an extraordinary modern surface but hasn't fully reckoned with what and who got buried underneath it. The next time you watch Parasite, don't just watch the characters, watch the buildings too. Watch who goes up and who goes down, watch what's hidden and where it's hidden, because in this film, the architecture never lies.